Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith, a merit-based podcast where everybody earns their spot. Introducing your host who deserves to be here the most, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health, and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terms that I've been using, such as percutaneous drainage and manscaping, so I'll try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron.
Hey, Dr. London, are you hungry?
Sure. What did you bring?
Well, we have a sponsor, and so it would be helpful if you were hungry.
Because it's one of the because I'm in one of those moods now. Like, I'm not hungry in the sense of I'm gonna go out and find a food, but I am hungry in the sense of like.
Dr. London, we have a sponsor today.
Great.
We have a very exciting sponsor. It is this egg.
Okay, yeah.
For the Patreon subscribers, you can watch the video version of this episode and see what I'm talking about. It is. I mean, do you want to describe it, Dr. London?
Really, you're gonna need to see it. Like, I'm trying to imagine. Yeah. Not seeing.
But could you please praise the egg a bit?
Okay.
Just to sponsor Dr. London.
Right. So the egg is fairly smooth, I want to say.
Sure.
And I want to say the edges, I know that, they're not rectangular.
Okay. And Dr. London, you can do whatever you want with this egg. You can eat it if you want. You could crack it open and then eat it if you want. You could take it, you could draw a little face on it and take it with you and pretend it's your baby. If you're in like middle school or if you're just very lonely, this can be your baby. An omelet.
So, an omelet would require more.
You can egg someone's car. But it is this egg, and hopefully one of our very lucky listeners will purchase this egg.
Oh, it's just the one.
It's this egg. That's what the document said. Is this egg that I'm holding is our sponsor. Okay,
so no.
Well, anyway, if you want to purchase the egg, just go ahead and do that. And also, maybe you don't want to purchase the egg, but you do want to see it. You want to see the beautiful egg I'm talking about. Hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/JockDogPodcast.
Mm-hmm. And so there is the one tier, which is for the egg.
There's the egg tier, yeah. And you'll get to see a JPEG. Do we have it in JPEG, DJ Dylan?
Nope.
Do we have a visual element to it? I thought it was just audio.
DJ Dylan is just waving his arms back and forth. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
So, well, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. So that was also DJ Dylan in the house. And later, we're gonna go over. So I'm not ashamed to admit this. We don't have a guest today, but we are gonna walk you through when we do have a guest, how we get that guest,
and also going to talk about when we don't have a guest, why we lost the guest that was booked.
Yes.
For example, today.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just gonna say we had someone booked today. It was gonna be Prince Charles, now King Charles.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we had to cancel him last second because we found out unfortunately,
Well, okay, and
we found out. We have to say that. Let's get in front of this. We found out that he is a nepo baby. King Charles is a nepo baby. He did not earn his.
We didn't know.
We didn't know at the time when we booked him. But thank goodness DJ Dylan brought this to our attention.
Yes.
Moments before he recorded, and we kicked him out of the studio.
And it's tough because, like,
this is a merit-based podcast.
That's right.
Anyone who's on this podcast earned the position they're at.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to get out in front of that because there's a lot of new listeners for this episode, and you're wondering why King Charles didn't show up. Because we have been trying to appeal to the royalist crowd for a while. Yeah. We hate the redhead son and his wife from the show Suits.
Yeah.
They make me so mad.
And that's all she talks about.
Yep.
She keeps saying, like, well, when I was on Suits, and everyone's like, this isn't really how we do it in Royal. In Royal, that's not the way we do it.
That's why the royals don't like her.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, is because she was too snooty about Suits. She was like, well, on the Suits set had a little better snacks than what we're seeing here.
You know what? Maybe we're leaning a little too hard towards those listeners.
Let's stop appealing to the royalists. You guys are obsessed over a bunch of nepo babies. I'm sorry. And let's move on. I'm sorry for taking this episode so far off track. Just stop listening now if that's why you're here. Is to worship these nepo babies. I can't stand these nepo babies. When I inherit my country, my island country, no nepo babies allowed.
Oh, really?
They can live, and I'm not killing them, but not in the government.
Okay, or like maybe a lower cabinet position if they have the experience from their other government.
Well, and the
jobs.
hustle and drive, and maybe if I'm friends with their dad or whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
They got to prove they're a good guy.
But like generally, no. But like
no
if they...
nepo babies allowed. Not in this government.
Yeah. And that's
once my parents die.
Yeah. And you inherit.
Yeah.
Because I hate to go on about that, but like you were trained from birth.
Yeah. No one else is trained for that position because they know they're not getting it. That's why succession is the best way to pick a leader, because that person has known from birth that whether they like it or not, they're going to be the leader of this country. So the only one who's been thinking about it the whole time, don't you think that's the person that's most equipped? If I wanted my plane to be flown, I'd want it to be flown by someone who's put in the time to learn how to fly planes. Who's put in more time into being the leader of this country than me? Because of my parents.
Yes.
Before we move on, I want to address a bit of listener feedback. For a long time, our listener demographic was primarily composed of drivers of those buses that bring in loads of voters to cheat elections. But in our efforts to cater to them, we found that we were neglecting the many bot accounts that download our podcast. Royalist bots, primarily. So Cameron, could you ask the coffee grinder for listener feedback?
Absolutely. Dear host of the Jock podcast, I'm a very mean, angry machine. I listened to this week's episode and I'm still very mad. I'm so mad that I'm going to spend the next week being angry at everyone and everything. I'm angry at the host for not being more angry. I'm angry at the guests for not being more angry. I'm angry at the world for not being more angry. I'm angry at myself for not being more angry. I'm just so angry all the time, and it's all your fault. Love, Angry Machine. This is actually surprising to me because most of the time when we're recording the podcast, I am furious. I am so mad.
I'm livid. Yeah. No, I'm getting pissed just thinking about it.
Ooh. That the fact that this fucking machine, this doesn't...
And he wants to tell that to us.
He's going to say, we're not pissed off enough. Are you... Okay. Yeah, let me think. Great. Anytime I've never not been furious. Never, not at all. Never. It's never happened because I'm always furious. Anyway, I'm pissed. I'm always so
Yeah, I'm so
pissed.
mad.
And definitely last week's episode, we were so mad. So the fact that you could listen to that and say, well, they're not angry enough. The guest brought a gun out and he pointed it at us. because he was so mad. We got to move on. Hey, robot, if you don't think we're not angry, you're wrong and you're an idiot. So we're pissed off. We're more pissed than you, and we are using our anger in a righteous way to change the world.
Mm-hmm. Now for today's medical topic, hypoglycemia. Hypo comes from the Latin term for beneath or under. The glyce refers to glucose or sugar, and an emia refers to blood. So hypoglycemia is when your blood glucose levels are below what they should be. Hypoglycemia is the most common reason for hospital admission in patients with diabetes mellitus, and some might think it's diabetic ketoacidosis or new onset diabetes, but no, it's from hypoglycemia.
I'm glad you're finally talking about this, Dr. Linden, because people mistakenly think like, okay, what animal kills the most people? Oh, it's lions. Oh, these lions are always eating people. Oh, it's rhinos spearing people. But it's actually
Sharks.
The hypos and the hypo, and especially if you're near a baby hypo. I mean, those are actually the most dangerous animals in the world. And like you said, that the main reason for hospitalization is that worldwide.
Yeah,
is hypo attacks.
I didn't ask that. I'm just reading from this textbook, and I don't like. Did it sound convincing though? Did it sound like I knew?
It sounded like you know how to read. Yeah, for sure. Very close.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I've seen them charged before, and yeah, it's a lot,
so expensive.
Yeah. So the most common cause of this hypoglycemia is error in treatment due to excess medication or an inappropriate dose adjustment, particularly as renal or kidney insufficiency decreases insulin requirements. So in other words, diabetes can damage the kidneys, and since the kidneys normally help to process insulin, that damage can result in insulin being processed more slowly. So if patients get their insulin dosage before that earlier dose of insulin is processed, it causes a pileup of insulin. That extra insulin can cause hypoglycemia.
And you know what's totally messed up? It's absolutely this is just a reflection of our culture. There's legitimately a children's game called Hungry Hungry Hypos. And you play as these little hypos that are just eating little marbles.
That doesn't sound true.
It's even the action that is killing humans. It's eating them, but it's these little marbles. I guess they're supposed to be human heads or something. And kids are playing this game.
Well, which kids?
My kids, because it's pretty fun. I've been playing it too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just so messed up. It's just a reflection of this culture, violence. We love violence. And yet you can't show a nipple on network TV. Isn't that something? Everyone has one, Dr. London. Everyone's got nipples, and yet on network TV you can show a hippo decapitate a man, or a marble basically, and then eat it.
But yeah, basically a man.
And that's a commercial for kids. But I try to put some sort of hardcore nudity in my stuff and put it on TV, and people get mad.
Do they get mad?
Yeah, because they're like, what happened to Scandal? Scandal's supposed to be on right now. Why does it look like there's like a man in a TV studio who's fighting with other producers and trying to shove a videotape in a player?
Right. You can't silence the truth.
Yeah. And then I try to put in, one of my many short films, nipple play.
Which, by the way, are you still going for a festival run? Or
yes, I'm working on Nipple Play 2 right now. And I've submitted it to NipFest.
Right.
And NipFest Canada.
Okay. Treatment of hypoglycemia depends on the cause. Generally, you can treat hypoglycemia by giving glucose and or glucagon either intravenously or by inhalation. If the hypoglycemia is caused by an insulinoma, you would also remove the lesion surgically. Other causes of hypoglycemia may include insulin autoimmune antibodies, which would show up in lab work in the form of autoantibodies. Hypoglycemia can also be caused by sulfonylurea abuse, and that the labs would show urine metabolites of sulfonylureas as well as elevated C-peptide and proinsulin. And lastly, some hypoglycemic patients may have been using insulin surreptitiously, and these patients' lab values would show low C-peptide and low proinsulin. So that's a way to spot it.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's, we need to talk about the guest.
We need to talk about the guest or lack thereof.
And how we get that, because this is our first guest where we've had problems.
Yeah. Like we said before, King Charles, ultimate Nepo baby, was going to be on the podcast till we found out he was a Nepo baby and we kicked him out of the studio. We will not use this podcast to promote Nepo babies.
Nope. And that's a firm policy. Like,
yes,
unless it's inconvenient or something.
Yeah, or we like the person, or they've given us money, or enough about this loser guy. Let's talk about how we get guests. Because sometimes, though, it's through hard work, Dr. Lennon. It's through actually just reaching out. And this is where the role of agents become very, very helpful. I have this guy, Brad, who lives behind, it used to be a Dunkin' Donuts. I think it's just empty now. I don't know why he doesn't live in it, but he lives behind it.
Right. Yeah.
And he knows some of the hottest stars.
Like temperature-wise, or?
Ooh, yeah, baby.
Okay. So they're
way over 98.6 degrees.
Is it?
And so he's been able to talk to because that's the thing, agents have their own world. All agents know each other. They're so interconnected. And that's how some of the biggest guests we've had on here, Blippy Blurnon.
Yes.
Turdy Tardson, Tardentagel, Kirby Barkon.
French Handon,
Skippy Crapford. That's really the tip, is find the gatekeepers. It's like at the office, the front desk person knows all. You want to find the people you might not think of being so important because you don't see them on the big screen. But you find these agents, they talk to these other agents, who talk to these other agents, and suddenly Dwarf Blorfin is on your podcast.
And it wasn't a good episode, but it was an episode that we recorded.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the FCC fines from that episode really, it sank the show for a number of years.
And we got a lot of protests. We got canceled, both like culturally.
Yes, we got dropped from I guess we can say it now because it's been enough time, but the reason we left the Casey Anthony podcast network almost 100 episodes ago was because of that controversy.
What?
Which, by the way, I'm happy for, because I found out recently, Casey Anthony, Nepo baby.
No.
Yes, her parents helped her cover up a murder.
How do we keep falling for that?
I don't. I guess there's just something intriguing about these Nepo babies. It's because they have the time and money to learn how to be charismatic.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. London, do you have any other?
I have one more.
Ways we get guests.
One way that I found really works well, you go to a military recruitment center. They'll have them set up wherever, because here's the thing about those. They are actively recruiting. So for one thing, you can learn how to actively recruit. And those people who sign up for that, they're going to get shot out of cannons and stuff. Like, that's their whole deal.
Yeah.
And so
the battlefield.
Yeah. So if someone if the recruiter can get them to sign up, that's a good recruiter, right? It's gotta be. So I go in there, I start talking smack. I'm like, I'm a better recruiter than you. They challenge me to a rap off.
Wow.
And this sounds specific. This is every time.
This is every time?
This is a generalization you can just apply.
Sure.
But yeah.
You guys do the rap contest, they get completely pwned.
Yeah. Like not at like they're really good at rapping also, but like they get pwned in the sense that I tell them afterwards that I wasn't even trying.
Right, and then they feel embarrassed because they were so pwned by that.
Yeah, and also I have a podcast. Do you want to be on it? And so I get the recruiter. So we have a lot of military recruiters on the podcast.
Yes,
that's been a lot of our history.
Most of the guests, now that I'm thinking about it, Blod Blorson. I thought we got him through my agent, but now that I think about it, I think he's one of the recruiters.
Yeah.
And he's also a Nepo baby because his dad died of colon cancer, and so he got a lot of attention for that.
Yeah. But like, you kind of appreciate that kind of thing because once again, they're born for it. They're born into it, so they're trained from birth.
The role that they that they were supposed to have.
Yeah, which is why we hate Nepo babies, but like also we get and respect and applaud them for what they're doing, and actually I want them to keep doing that.
Yeah, hopefully now if you're starting your own podcast, you know how to get guests, you know how to be choosy and not get the guests you don't want. And
don't be afraid to turn them down. Just don't be afraid of that.
Yeah. And
unless they're really cool.
You know the importance of working hard yourself, earning your spot, earning your success, and not having it handed to you, unless you're sort of going to do the same thing that your parents do, because then you might as well get the benefits of.
Well, and because once again, like you are actually like your blood is so pure for that. Like you got the bloodline. Like people, joke about it, but like genetics are a real thing. Like that's not even made up.
I really don't want to get deplatformed again. Are you sure about that? I'm not a medical guy.
We can, I guess that's a good time to call it. Like that's,
okay,
on
yeah,
that
let's
note,
just get out of
here. Let's not even deal. So hopefully you got all the answers you need. Hopefully we were angry enough this episode. Thank you to our producer Cameron. Thank you to Digital the host.
You guys are obsessed over a bunch of Nepo babies. Nepo babies. You guys worship these Nepo babies. Nepo babies. Prince Charles, now King Charles. We found out that he is a Nepo baby. King Charles, ultimate Nepo baby. My island country, no Nepo babies allowed. No Nepo babies allowed. We will not promote Nepo babies. Nepo babies. Nepo babies. Casey Anthony, Nepo baby. Her parents helped her cover up a murder. Nepo babies. I guess there's just something intriguing about these Nepo babies.